Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Support Raising Podcast, a ministry of VIA. We are excited to bring you the best leaders and practitioners in the three areas that we like to focus on: being spiritually healthy, vision-driven, and fully funded. And we hope that their insight will help you move forward in your partnership development. I am Callie Davis, and I'm your host today. I am part of the VIA Generosity core team here in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and I am so excited to be joined by Erin Sparks. Hi, Erin.
Hi, good to be here.
Erin, I've actually been able to get to know you for a couple years now. She is the Director of Ministry Partner Development at Every Nation Ministries. And I think I've just been such a huge fan of the work y'all do. Got to attend your support raising training at one point a few years ago, and just so impressed with just the quality of both the biblical foundation and the theology, but also the real practical training skills and tools that you guys give your staff. So I think there is no one better to talk to us today than their Director of Partnership Development, Erin. You've been in this position of leading their support raising department for just, I believe, the past year, a little over that, but you have been in this space for far, far longer, coaching and training for the past 4 years, and then even before that, serving in campus ministry. So I'm excited for the wealth of experience you are bringing with you today, and hopefully we can take maybe a little bit of a step forward, get a little challenged by the topic that everyone wants to avoid with a passion: referrals. Well, I know it's true for me. And then as I've trained and coached people, it's the last thing they want to do. Mm-hmm. So I'll kick us off with kind of a brief definition, and then Erin, it is yours to take it away. So first of all, referrals, we're talking about when you as a support raiser approach a partner and then they connect you with someone they know. And that is a referral. A real basic kind of common experience might be someone who connects you with their barber or with a handyman. It's basically you're borrowing someone else's relationship to connect, and that is why they're willing to meet with you. Erin, do you want to flesh that out a little bit before we dive into why is a referral important in the world of support raising?
Yeah, I think what you said is great. You know, it's connecting with different people, and we do this in all different spheres of our life. You know, so sometimes when you bring it down to partnership development, it can feel a little bit different, but we connect on referrals on so many different other ways. But yes, it's connecting, you to other people who would have a common interest in partnering in the Great Commission together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then what makes it important, especially when we're trying to help people step into referrals, when I would know for me, at least, I really didn't want to. I would have happily done anything else when it came to support raising other than referral asking. So why is it a skill we teach?
Yeah. Why? It's a skill because you will inevitably exhaust your initial contact list. When people come into our training, we coach them to have a minimum of 200 names before beginning the process. But we, as coaches and trainers, we know that they're going to exhaust that list probably within the first month and a half to 2 months. So referrals is a priority skill because it's not just a way to develop contacts, but the purpose is to generate quality contacts. We know the difference between calling people. Like, you can make 100 phone calls and never get a meeting with somebody because they're not a quality contact. They're not somebody who you have that common ground with or that common relationship with. So that's the purpose of it, to gain quality contacts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I wanted to just circle back what you just said, that 200 names is not going to be enough. Right. And I think what I hear from the people that I've coached through training is they'll never get to the end of that list. It feels like so many people. They spent so much time brainstorming. They do not believe me when I tell them it will not be enough.
Right.
But yeah, I really hope they hear from experience, just your years of coaching, the few I can add to the mix. It won't be enough as much as you want it to be. It won't. I think the common statistic is at 5 years, on average, people's partnership team is made up of about 50% who were originally referrals.
Wow. I believe it. I don't, I mean, I
Mhm.
love that. So I believe that.
Mhm.
That would probably be true of my team.
Mhm.
But the great part about referrals is like you're connecting about the mission.
Mhm.
So when they're building that initial contact list, a lot of times you're like the way I define a contact when I'm training
Mhm.
somebody is I say you have contact information for them,
Mhm.
like just somebody you remember your high school teacher that you have no email for anymore. That's not a contact unless you have contact
Right.
information for. And then two, you're willing to contact them.
Mm.
Like they don't have to know how yet. That's what I'll train them to do.
Mhm.
But they have to have those two things because if they're not willing and they've got 100 names on their list of people who they're actually not willing. We got to get that out of here. That's not.
Right. Yeah.
So when you think about referrals, those meet those definitions so well. And because you're
Mhm.
willing to contact them because you know that there's a common ground, you know that there's interest, and so those people tend to stay on your team longer because they have oftentimes a greater understanding of what it means to partner in the Great Commission because they didn't know you before.
Mhm.
That's why your relationship started.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I think it feels that the people we initially know, our friends, our family, are easier people to connect with because we know them, because we think we might predict how they'll answer or how they'll react. And referrals are a lot more unknown, a lot more uncertain. But the reason that they'll say yes is because they get the vision, not just because they like me or they're
Mhm.
related to me. And that's a real deep connection. The fact that they are wanting to partner with a stranger because of what they've heard, because of what you share, because of the lives they're seeing being changed.
Mhm.
That is very powerful.
Mhm.
Those are the connections you want. Those are the partners you want. I can't remember who first explained the perspective of referral asking to me, but it was so fundamental to shift of not just I need more names, I need more people, but the different why is that it's not about the people I want to partner with me. It's about the people God is calling to partner with me. And I think that is something I've seen reflected kind of just in the way you guys talk about referral asking and how, oh, I think it's listed as one of like your top skills that you need to train and learn how to do for your staff. How do you help people learn that perspective? Because it's hard to change a perspective in anything,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to like asking someone or you're facing rejection, you're facing all your insecurities. How do you help people kind of really get that?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. And um it falls back on our perspective of the ministry partnership development in
Mhm.
general, but so much of what we do in this process relates directly to our ministry assignments. You
Mhm.
know, when we get a list of names, or when we encounter, for us, it's campus students, people who seem unlikely.
Mhm.
Do we count them off, or
Mm.
if we have enough people in our like you would never have that thought process, oh, we have enough people in our campus ministry, we've had enough people who've heard the
Right.
gospel,
Mhm.
and then but somehow when we think about MPD, we are like, oh, we've hit enough, but
Mm.
if it's an invitation into the Great Commission, and everybody who joins your team will be at different levels of understanding of what it means to partner in the Great Commission, and that's fine. My hope is that whether they partner with me just by meeting with me or just having a good conversation on the phone about it, but they never even take a
Mhm.
meeting, that they've had a interaction with a Christian who's passionate about the Great Commission, who really believes it, and your integrity speaks a lot. Um,
Mm.
when I'm training our missionaries, I tell them, like, when we first turn to we first turn to the referrals page, I tell them, this is a difficult skill. This is one of the most difficult skills in the MPD process. And in my perspective, when somebody starts to get good at referral asks, they're typically doing pretty well in the whole MPD process overall. But it's a difficult skill because referrals are based on trust. Like, people will trust you with their money before they will trust you with their reputation.
Oh, yeah.
So when we are cutting corners, or when we are, our words aren't lining up with what we say, when you call somebody and you say, I'd love to meet with you to share about it. They say, I can't give. And you say, okay, that's fine. We don't have to meet. Well, what you said in the first place wasn't actually true, because I would love to meet with you to share about it. It's not about money.
Right.
I would love to share about the Great Commission. But if we, skip that meeting because we already know that they can't give, then that's revealing what we really believe. And so your integrity lays a foundation for you to build trust with people. And sometimes, like, you'll have to remain diligent as people grow in their understanding and as they grow in trust with you. So if people hesitate to give me referrals at first, that's okay. I know that I need to build more trust and let them see the fruit of what partnership is. And then, to stay diligent to ask.
Well, I'm curious, can you get into some of the practicals of maybe where do you start with referral asking with people that are kind of willing to connect you? What are kind of the skills or the practicals there? And then I am curious, I want to circle back to, how do you build trust with people that are initially very resistant?
Sure. I love talking about the practicals. This is where I live.
Yes.
Yes. So first, to think about referrals as two different skills. So there's the skill of getting the referral, and then there's the skill of reaching out to the referral. So I try to separate those because you think about them at different times. There's a lot of crossover, but when you're asking for the referral, the first thing that I tell people practically, or my missionaries that I'm coaching practically, is number one, this is not an optional ask. You will ask at every single meeting. Blanket statement.
I love it.
So it's not an optional ask. The second is how you ask matters. So if you ask in a way that it's like you ask in the last 5 minutes of the meeting, you ask like casually, well, if you happen to know anybody, like, I'll get back to you. And you're kind of like falling back as, like your conversation. They're going to be like, okay, so, if you ask in a way that shows excitement, that you do love meeting with people, whether they can give or they can't, to share about the ministry, and you ask with an expectation to receive those names right then, then they'll meet you, but they're gonna match what, like, energy and expectation you bring. So then another practical is using we language instead of I language, like throughout your ask, like, and that's really subtle. And I'll write it in scripts for people so they don't have to like remember it themselves. But the analogy that I use is like, imagine when you were younger and you were like on a like playing kickball at like in elementary school, and you're picking teams. And if I was a team captain and I was like, I want Callie, Callie, you come be on my team, and then the next team picks, and then I'm like, okay, Callie, who do we want on our team? The I's become the we. Yeah. And that's how I want the other person to feel. Like, I want them, when they've said yes to being on my partnership team, that we really are partnering together. Who do you think like would want to hear about this?
Wow, this feels like a small shift, but also a big shift. Like, I'm loving this. This is the first time I've ever heard of this. Just tell me more.
So that's like how you want that person to feel. Like, they are helping you. And then, like, the last practical is to be patient and be prepared to ask in different ways. The referral ask is an ask that they did not expect.
Right.
When you're there and you're presenting the ministry, a lot of times depending on your culture and, but a lot of times they can expect that you're going to ask them to partner with you financially. But they did not expect you to ask them about who else they would know. So be prepared to ask in a couple different ways and to take your time. Like when you rush this ask, it doesn't work out well. But being prepared to navigate different hesitations and then ask in different ways. So I have shared that analogy with different partners. But the first thing that I do whenever I ask, obviously you be quiet, and you wait for them to respond. But if they have a hesitation, I will, like the first thing that I have any missionary do when you make an ask, and then if they have a hesitation, you identify it. You don't respond to it first, but you identify it. So you'll repeat it back to them to make sure that you're like understanding what they're saying. So I just can't think of anyone. Oh, okay. So you can't think of anyone like right now, like no one comes to mind. And then you can address it. Or is it, I can't think of anyone, I feel a little uncomfortable about it. Okay, can you tell me a little bit about why you're like, I understand you feeling uncomfortable about it. Can you tell me a little bit why? Can I tell you and then you can start to respond to the hesitation. So that's what I teach people. First identify, then respond to the hesitation, and then be prepared to ask again. If you've had, a few minutes of conversation between your ask and navigating a hesitation, you've got to go back to the ask again. So
I think what I love, it makes so much sense. I think what I'm hearing is you've kind of outlined something that I try to get people to understand as well, that the referral ask is so much more a conversation. I feel like the financial ask is usually like a little bit of vision with one question. So that's a lot simpler, which a lot of people are expecting some type of ask in that manner. Whereas I'm really hoping people get a chance to have a back and forth when it comes to referrals, because it feels like a very nebulous topic to me. There's like so many different ways it could go. Like you just can't, you can't like condense it too much. You'll miss something or people will just say no. So instead, approaching it to be a conversation, to have a lot more dialogue and back and forth. I love how you've broken it down into more of an outline, into kind of like, okay, here's step one, and you're trying to work it here to step two. And I think that's fabulous.
Great.
I did want to circle back to something you mentioned, that if they didn't have trust, then you wanted to come back in the future. How do you do that?
I think that's a good question. And part of that is us being ministers of the gospel too. But I think building trust between now and the next time I meet with them would look like me being faithful to update them, check in with them, update them on the ministry, treat them like a partner. If they have given me a referral, then I'm going to let them know how it goes. I'm going to say thank you. So there will be things like that will just like, there's no substitute for time when you're building trust, and which can be tough when we have a goal. But it's a mind shift, where you have to value the relationship over your goal, because they don't have that goal. I mean, they kind of do, because they want you to be on the campus too,
Yeah.
In terms of like, if somebody is so new to the idea of partnership development, like it's a more foreign concept and I'm introducing that to them, then I think it's pretty natural for them to have questions about it before they, introduce me to their friends. So,
yeah.
And how we build relationships and how we build trust in any situation, not just like, oh, I have to be best friends with them, but I want to be faithful to what I've told them that I would do as a missionary, and, keep them updated, share about the mission, encourage them, pray for them. And your integrity, they'll see that.
Yeah. And that's something that I think really just can't be shortchanged. The communication, the follow-up, the connection to your partners, you can't skip it. whether it's connecting for referrals or just having them stay with you in the long term. There's just so many reasons, so much importance for maintaining those relationships, caring for those relationships, because they're people, not ATMs, as we like to say. So treat them like people.
That's funny.
Well, Erin, I'm kind of wondering if I could throw something at you that I did not warn you about as we were prepping. Could you role play your referral ask with me? Because I would really love to see it.
Sure. Yeah.
How would you like to set this up so it kind of goes smoothly for you? I know we're doing this a little bit on the fly, but I'd love to kind of hear how you normally work it into a conversation as you wrap up an appointment.
So I typically ask after I've, like if somebody partners with me and they say yes, and I've like walked them through the sign up, I'll just like, as they're doing that, as they finish up, I would say another way that you can help me is I'm looking to meet with as many people as possible to share about the work that I do, reaching college students and having a meeting just like this. Could you think of, 5, 7 people in your sphere of influence that maybe people I don't know that would be encouraged to hear about what God's doing through my ministry?
Yeah, I mean, I could probably think of a few people. I couldn't tell you how interested they might be, but I mean, I could think of some people that have been involved in their colleges and might have an interest in that.
Wow, that would be so great. I would be super excited to meet with them. Thank you. Do the like names come to mind right now?
Yeah, like probably just, I mean, there's my friend Janie. She does a ton of work in the Chicago area. So I think she's just really passionate about connecting with really international students. So I just think she might have an interest there. And then do you connect with other missionaries? Because I know a couple of people that already are in campus work. I think they would love to hear about what you do, but they probably can't give.
Sure. So don't worry about people who can give or who cannot. Like I genuinely love meeting with different people to share about the work. And so yes, anyone you can think of. Janie, she's in Chicago. How do you know her again?
Oh yeah, we were roommates for a couple years. Okay,
awesome. And then you said there's a couple other missionaries.
Yeah, there's a couple, James and Kathy. They work over in Oklahoma. I met them at just kind of a random campus ministry. It was a weird, long story, but we've stayed connected, and it happens. And then, well, of course, my brother Jeff. They are so involved. They live down in Texas and would be just thrilled. They really care about a lot of ministry work. Ministry really impacted him and his wife as they were in college on campus. So I can't promise anything beyond that, but they'd probably be interested.
That is so sweet. I love meeting with people's family. I feel like, I don't know if you feel like this, but whenever I meet people's family, I feel like I understand them a little bit more.
So true. So true.
Yeah. Okay. So Janie, James and Kathy, your brother Jeff. I know that you mentioned the Bible study group that you go to. Do you think anybody from there?
Let me think. I mean, probably they're just a little hard to get a hold of. A lot of them have little kids and their schedule's kind of all over the place. So, I mean, I can connect you, but I just don't know how available they will be, just from my experience.
Okay. No worries. What do you think, like if you were trying to get in contact with them, like what would be the best way that you would get in contact with them?
I mean, I usually text all these people. How are you wanting to, like, how does this work? I don't know if I'm really comfortable just like, do I let them know ahead of time or
go up at their house? Just kidding.
Okay, I'm gonna back away now.
No, so I kind of rely on like on your relationship with them. Like, you know, these people best. And so typically what works best is if you reach out to them and you don't feel the pressure to explain like all of my ministry, but if you reach out to them and said like, I met with Erin, she's a missionary at Vanderbilt University, and she's, working and training missionaries, and I gave her, or could I give her your contact, whether like, however that sits, whether you need to ask or whether you can just go for it, send it, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a little script that I can give you that people will send ahead. But if you're like on a phone call basis with some of these people, you can do it as is. So I can send you that right now. And then I've got their names written down. So how do you feel about that first?
Yeah, I think that sounds great. Sending me a text would make it super easy, even if I'm talking with them, having something to reference. Otherwise, I will talk far too long. And then actually my Bible study is meeting tomorrow night. I could just see if any of them would be interested in talking with you.
Sure. Yes. I would love that. If you could see if anybody there would be interested in meeting with me. I've also like gone with people to Bible studies before. Would you guys be open to that?
Oh, I don't know. It probably couldn't be this short notice this week because we already have the time planned, but I could ask.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So for Janie and James and Kathy and Jeff, I'll send you that text and then just send it. And then would you mind if I got their contact information now? Sometimes it's hard to get it in the days to come. We all get a little bit busy, but I won't reach out to them until you give me the thumbs up.
Yeah. Would you mind if I reached out to them first? I had a bad experience once. I'd really prefer to check with them first.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. I'll send that to you. And then let's see, today's Monday. I'll try to reach out. If you could send that to them like in the next couple of days, I'll try to reach back out to you. Maybe I could reach back out to you Wednesday night after your Bible study. And then, okay. So let me look. Wednesday, what do you have going on? Can I give you a call at like 6? Maybe 14 minutes?
Yes. I want to say like a little bit closer to 7 would be a little better.
Okay, great. I will call you at 7. And awesome. I look forward to meeting with these people. Thank you so much.
Wow.
I really appreciate it.
Of course, yeah. Wow. Thank you. I was impressed.
Thank you.
How long did it take you to feel really comfortable and conversational with your script or kind of with your outline that you use when you ask for a referral?
Like I said, referrals is a difficult skill. It develops over time. I will preach that forever. And I think it became, I don't know how long it took. I think what it took me was like focusing on the purpose. And I want to meet with these people. If they have good connections for me, that's going to be great. So, and then I also imagined myself in their shoes. How would I feel if somebody was asking me? How would I want them to respond? How would I want them to like treat the people that I'm giving the information out? So a lot of it was like, I know what I need. The question of like, what's the best way for me to reach out to these people? You're going to know the answer to that. You're going to know, how you want to open that conversation. I have an idea, but if you have a better idea, then honestly, we might go with yours because you know these people better than I do. So I have in my mind that like we are kind of problem solving this together. I do this for a living, so I know what's best, so if I but like, these people better. So you'll have really good input on the how.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I don't know if there's a lot more we can add. Do you have a final thought as we wrap up? Because I just want to like hit play on this recording already. I feel like I have learned so much. Any final thoughts, Erin?
Um, I think my final thought about referrals would be build trust, walk in integrity, and ask for what you want. And if you're doing that, then I think you're going to make some good progress. Oh, and I'll say the other one. Just stay diligent. Like, keep asking, because people respond to there's some people who love connecting their friends. They love it. They live for it, And then there's some people that you're like, they barely even made it to this meeting, So keep asking, and don't let the last, response determine like how much energy you'll bring to the next ask.
That is far easier said than done, but so true. Well, Erin, thank you so much. I have loved getting to chat with you, to hear some of your wisdom, your experience. I think we are all a little better for it. I appreciate your time. And to all of our listeners and viewers, thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you have learned something as well. And so keep listening, and we will keep providing content and great speakers and guests like Erin Sparks. So thank you, everyone, and have a beautiful day.